The Frozen North, Episode 70, Brick Roads and Power Lines.
Hello and welcome to episode number 70 of the Frozen North Gaming Podcast. My name is JJ and I'm here with my two friends, Mark.
Howdy, y'all! That's right, my name is Mark, and you are, in fact, listening to the podcast that JJ just said.
I'm just repeating?
I am just going to repeat what you said.
My name is Mark, and
I love coffee.
That's true. You do love coffee.
But he doesn't like 5 Hour Energy, which is essentially just
man.
coffee flavored, like...
Yeah, but it's all this weird stuff.
5 Hour Energy isn't coffee flavored.
No, it's not.
Coffee.
It's better flavored.
Coffee. I always say it weird the first time.
Coffee.
We're also here with Brian.
Hey guys, I'm Brian. My name's Brian. If you guys didn't know, I'm Brian. We're also here with Brian.
Man, you guys are all about the intelligent radio.
Well, what we like to do is bring the IQ up. Show me what you got.
I'm not going to plagiarize Rick and Morty at the beginning of our
I don't
episode.
believe
I
it's
can't really say anything because honestly, like, I don't really smart enough to show myself, so it's not.
Mark, I don't believe Rick and
I hold
Morty.
myself higher here.
I don't believe Rick and Morty have any kind of rights to show me what you got.
Yes, but that's clearly what you were referring to.
What was that?
That's what you wanted
Only
to.
me.
Yes, because we've been doing it since before we hit record.
That's very true.
Technically, we didn't record. I did.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So
if you want to get serious,
Handcuff me.
So
Handcuff me.
ipso facto, Mars is a planet.
So, what have you guys been playing?
Mark.
That was weird.
Mark.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that will please you both way more than it should. I have now officially beaten more games on the PlayStation 4 than I have on the Xbox One. And that number is 1. I beat Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
Nice.
It was fantastic. It was very, very good. And I also tried to play some more Witcher, got a few hours into it, and lost all my progress when the game crashed.
Yeah. It's
That's
got
unfortunate.
issues.
Yeah. And then I've just been playing the game of wedding planning besides that.
I think you should take some time off and then go back to The Witcher.
I probably will.
The ending is worth it. It's good. And you'll feel better for having beaten it. So.
And you need to play Witcher 2.
I should say before we move on from me that roads and power lines are some of my favorite things, so this is a very special episode to me.
Yeah.
The title has absolutely nothing to do with City Skylines, though.
Yeah, but it has to do with planning and building infrastructure.
And yet he did none of that.
I don't know that we really
I built
planned it.
some power lines.
That's right.
I didn't. I just shot stuff. That's pretty much all I did. I was the enforcer.
So I also played that game that we haven't mentioned yet.
Space Sweeper?
That's right.
Just mentioned it. Boom. We're going to talk about it a little later, though. So we'll get to that. I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV,
Yeah.
obviously still. Can't get enough of it. I went back to Silent Hill 2, and I'm about halfway done with the game now. So it's still
scared?
freaking terrifying.
Even that old game like that, it's just so hard to get through because it's so... or what's the word I'm looking for? Atmospheric.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's not my kind of game. I'm not really... I don't know, it's a little slow for me. But at the same time, it's one of those where I can certainly see the genius in the production values and why they did the things that they did. And, it's doing its job. I'm scared to death, and I'm intrigued as to what's going on with the story. So, yeah, I can't complain because it's a good time. And what did I play on? Oh, I've been Halo 2. Cruising through that a little bit. So
Single player,
yeah, because look at this, the Xbox fan laughing it up about
it's bad,
Xbox One being terrible online. I shouldn't say Xbox One terrible online. Master Chief Collection terrible online.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, and we've talked about that before, so we're not going to delve into that cave this time. Brian, what about you?
Beat The Witcher 3, so I'm exclusively been playing Final Fantasy 14. As you all know, as if you've listened to past episodes, I played a Death Knight tank in WoW, so I've kind of spiritually, made a character. I'm playing a Dark Knight, not to be confused with Batman, but the Dark Knight class, which is also a tank in Final Fantasy 14. Gonna tank, do some in-game raiding, just like I did in WoW. But I got a really sad ending in Witcher 3, and I almost 140 hours is what I clocked in that game, and the ending was so hit me so hard that I wanted to go back and replay the game, but I was like, I can't. I have to let it be.
I don't know if I want to play that game now. I mean, 108 hours, I'd be down for that, but 140?
Well, 140 is me starting over about 20 hours in, so it's doing most of the side stuff. It's about 120 hours is what I clock. If you plow right through the story only, you'll probably only be at 80.
Only.
Yeah.
That's it, just 80 marks, so you're fine.
Yeah.
That'll take me a year.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of gaming.
We actually we played a little bit tonight.
We did a
dungeon. You and I did dungeon.
We did a dungeon.
Rocked it.
I tanked, you healed, man, just like in WoW.
Yep.
Well,
no.
you were a mage in WoW.
I was a mage in WoW.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm having a lot of fun being the healer. Mm-hmm. A lot more fun than I thought I would have. I did it initially just to be we need a healer in the group, so I'll just fill that void, I guess.
Yeah.
Why not? But I'm actually really enjoying it.
Well, you healed in 11, you told me, right? So
I healed a little bit in 11, but I did not like doing it.
Gotcha.
I did it again just because the static group that I was with, we would go through the quest lines that they had, and they needed a healer, and they kept buttering me up, being like, "We don't trust anybody else to do it. You're really good." So, and I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." But I really didn't want to. I like playing my thief, so I'm glad that I do enjoy it in this game. So yeah, it's good. Good game. If you're again, if I know we've said it before, but if you're thinking about taking the plunge into Final Fantasy 14, we are on the Leviathan server. Be sure to hit us up if you're thinking about giving it a chance. Brian and I are on quite a bit.
Yeah, my character's name is Anubis, spelled like the god, Dark Strider. Easy enough. Just send me a tell or something.
Just shoot us an email. We'll give you all our contact info. FrozenNorthPodcast@gmail.com. I guess I was just about to segue into what our email was, but I just said
that would have been amazing.
So, if you would like to email us, on top of emailing us, our website is fngaming.net. Our Facebook is facebook.com/FrozenNorth. Our Twitter is @FNPodcast. We have a blog at frozennorthpodcast.blogspot.com. And we are on iTunes, where we would appreciate you subscribing to and rating us. I say it all the time, but we haven't gotten any new ratings in a while, and we would really appreciate just hop on there. It takes 2 seconds and do it, unless you're like Brian and you think iTunes is the plague.
It is. It's the start of the apocalypse.
Dude, if you think it's bad just from downloading it and using it, uploading to it is a nightmare. Oh my gosh.
There is one hiccup. I mean, you have to have a credit card to make an account.
Even if you're not buying anything. Yeah, that's so weird to me. But there's plenty of other ways you can hear our show as well, like our website, fngaming.net. But if you are on iTunes and you do have it, we really would appreciate a comment rating on there. Speaking of emails, we did get a good one that I wanted to kind of bring up, and we're going to talk about it a little bit because it has a lot to do with what we've been doing lately, and that is doing a lot of competitive gaming stuff and talking to we talked to SoPro last week. Today we were actually at Nova Star, the other place out here in KC that we've talked about, and I mean, that place has changed too.
Yeah,
it was the last time Brian and I were there. They didn't have half the stuff that they've got in there now, and it's so cool.
We walked in and we were like, oh man, it's a finished. When we were first there, I think they had just opened, so they still were work in progress. But man, we walked in today. Woo, they are they're up another LAN center, Kansas City area. Come on down.
No joke. If you're in the KC area, look them up. You go to their website. You'll get the address and everything right there. It's good stuff. So, and everybody there is super nice.
Yeah,
we had a really great time. They were all just so welcoming and you walk in and you feel like family. It's crazy. So it was a good time. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show as well because we got another talking point. But this email that I wanted to go over comes from one of our listeners, Alex. He says, I'm still listening to episode 69, but hearing you all talk about the social aspect of being in a place like SoPro got me thinking. For me personally, I just can't do it. Even in MMOs, it often takes me a long while to warm up to new folks. It's not that I'm antisocial. I just feel awkward and uncomfortable when I get attention pointed in my direction, and I'm unsure who or what the source is. It is easier to deal with, for me at least, in an anonymous group type setting like the internet. For example, there's a local gaming hobby shop near me. Wednesday night they do D&D. I've wanted to go and join in, but I just can't bring myself to do it. A bunch of random strangers that may or may not have a better grasp on the rules than I do and may or may not appreciate my brand of humor. I'd have an easier time convincing myself to lay down in the middle of the street and then say something simple like, "Hi, can I play too?" He says, "Sorry, weird ranting tangent kind of day." He says, "And don't get me wrong, I'm glad there are places like SoPro and that folks can use them how they're intended. If I could get over my ridiculous shyness, a place like that would be fun. Somewhere to talk with people that shared similar experiences. What's not to love about that? Anyways, have a great day, and the podcast is definitely better than menial household labor."
Yes.
Yes, I love it.
So, I mean, I thought this was a really good point. We talk so much about places like SoPro and Novastar and these other LAN centers around the area and how good they are for gaming and that they're going to bring people out of their comfort zone and as long as people just give them a chance and get in there. What about those people though that really don't have that much of an interest in doing so? I think a lot of cases like if you're legitimately scared to go to these places just because of just genuine social awkwardness, there's really not much that can be said to get that, to take care of that, get that away, other than cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Right.
I was in a similar situation actually when I was 15. I had heard about a hobby shop that was near where I lived, and I had played D&D like maybe twice with Mark's brother, John. And do you remember when we first tried D&D? And oh no, you weren't there. It was me, John, and Justin.
Yeah,
and
that sounds right.
We had the starter kit, and it was one set of 4 dice that it came with, and I was trying to read directly out of the book, and I thought it sounded so cool in my head, but then we did it, and I'm like, what the heck is this? But I kept hearing all these cool stories about people that had done it and everything like that,
Yeah.
and so I used to be very, very much more introverted than I am now. Now, I have no problem talking to people, and that may just come from working in the restaurant industry, being a bartender for 4 years, and eventually working customer service and retail as a manager for several years as well. But I really don't have any problems talking to people. I totally get where some of these people are coming from, though, because I've been there.
Right.
But I literally just sucked it up one day, and I went up to 31st Century, which is the name of that place, and go in, and the owner was sitting behind the desk, and I was like, "Do you guys have people who play D&D here? And do they invite new people in?" And I was red-faced and didn't know what to say. And, when you look back on that and you think to yourself, what's the worst they're going to do? They're going to be like, "No,
yeah.
we don't want you playing."
Well, to what you're saying, and I get what he's saying, everyone experiences social anxiety. I think everybody here does. I know almost every human does. And you guys can attest to this, my social anxiety comes out in a lot different ways. I get really goofy. I say weird things to counter the awkward first meeting stage. But let me just say this. Going to a LAN center, if you have social anxiety and you're a gamer, you're not going to some place you don't know. Do you not think that other people are going to have the same hang up that you are? You're going to a place where social anxiety is a big part of that community. And so you're going to be around like-minded people. It's not like you're going to a sports bar where you're going to have a bunch of rowdy people that you don't really have anything in common with. You know what I mean? So I would caution that, yes, I get the social anxiety is a thing, and gaming centers aren't for everybody, of course. But if that's the only thing that's hanging you up from going and meeting people, then try it out, because I guarantee you other people are going there, and they're shy too.
Well, that's where I was going with my story, Brian.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
Let's rewind.
See, I'm waiting my turn.
Right.
Oh,
Nice.
hold on.
Mark, you're the best.
Hold on. Turn it back.
It's actually a pretty good rewinding sound.
That was necessary, completely. So, but I mean, after I went in, initially asked him, he was super nice about it. He was just like, "Yeah, we got some D&D players that are in here, and Tuesday, Thursday nights they come in, and I think most of the groups are pretty much set, but usually we have new people come in quite a bit and just sit down and watch them. And after a while, if they know you or they recognize you, they got no problem asking people to join and stuff like that. And that's what I did. I sat with people and kind of just talked to them. A lot of these people are generally, there's a few that are kind of elitist douchebags about it, but what group doesn't have that? But for the most part, I will say they were all pretty welcoming, and I was just really surprised. And I still have tons of friends from there. That's where I actually met my old Counter-Strike team, was from going up there. If I had never gone up there and asked about D&D, I never would have gotten into Counter-Strike. I never would have gotten into PC gaming in general. I never would have gotten into tabletop gaming. I mean, none of that stuff would have happened if I hadn't just taken that chance. I'm an only child, so I didn't have any brothers or sisters growing up. It was always just me and, anybody who lived near me on the street. And when all you have is just the people that surround you rather than people share the same interests, you're kind of just, it's a crapshoot. You don't know whether they're gonna like what you want to do. So you do tend to kind of keep that stuff inside because you're like, well, I don't want to bring this up because I don't know if you'll approve of that. Who cares if they approve of it or not, first of all? But at the same time, like, just like Brian said, that's what these gaming centers are made for, is for you to go there and meet these other people who are like-minded like you. Now, if you prefer to sit in front of your computer just because you like it that way, I completely understand that too. I live alone, and there are tons of times where I just come home and I just want to just veg out with a game and not listen to anybody talk or, do anything else, and I just, zone into my computer and that's it. But I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see both ways. I know Mark had a couple of things to say on it.
So that was the alpha nerd perspective on this. Now it's time for the beta nerd perspective.
No delta?
You can be the delta, I guess.
Okay, I'll be the delta.
I don't even know what the different types are.
I don't either.
But
beta sounds good.
I know alpha is like the...
Isn't the delta like the little sickly one that they send to...
The outcast.
Yes.
Be like, you go first, see if it's dangerous.
Yeah.
There you go. That's Brian.
Yeah, that's, yes.
No, but I'm less social than JJ is, I would say. I'm not an introvert like the classic introvert. I don't really like people I haven't met yet. I haven't built rapport with them yet. I don't know what they're like. Going into a LAN center by myself and trying to make friends, that's not going to work for me. However, going with JJ and Brian, meeting a couple new people, maybe one of them's kind of cool, that does work. And I'm glad I was able to do that a few times over the past month.
That's an important part too. If you've got people that you already do know share a similar interest to you, and you have the ability to go with them to a place like this, that more power to you. By all means, go do that. Because if you go in there and the place is empty, obviously who the hell are you going to talk to?
Right.
You're gonna be bored. But at the same time, if you've got somebody that you know already that goes up there, A, it's easier for you, and B, you've got somebody to talk to regardless. So I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I can say is you just suck it up, give it a try. That's it. And that's only if you want to. There are people, like I said, who really legitimately have no interest in these kind of places.
There's
which
no
is
right or
fine.
wrong. There's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
And I don't want to say anything negative about nerds, because we're all nerds, and all nerds have some weird aspects, but you don't know if your weirdness and someone else's weirdness is going to mesh.
Well, all people.
So there's a potential for some awkwardness. I can tell you there have been tons of awkward moments when I've gone to Gen Con in the past, gaming convention up in
Indianapolis?
Indianapolis. But if you have some people with you, you can find fun with that anyway. And even if you're not looking for a social, like meeting new people kind of experience, I think there's huge value in being able to just walk into a LAN center and sit down at a computer with your friends and play a game. Because if you've done a LAN, like a LAN party in the past, you show up at 9 a.m., you set your stuff up, it's 10. You go get some drinks, it's 10:15. All of a sudden you're talking about what you're going to do for lunch, and you haven't even started playing until 1.
Right.
Absolutely.
But if you can get everyone together and just meet up at a store, sit down, it's 15 minutes.
And on top of that, honestly, who says you have to be the one to initiate contact as well? I mean, we brought this up when Brian and I went to the all-night LAN over at SoPro. We talked to a few other people there, but honestly, I would say for the most part, and no, it had nothing to do with the show, we had people coming up just looking at what we were doing because we were playing Final Fantasy 14, and they were asking and talking to us about that. That was it. You just go in there, play a game. If somebody recognizes, there's a good chance somebody's going to come over and talk to you a little bit, if even just for a few seconds. And that little bit of dialogue, it could be absolutely nothing. It could just be like oh, what level are you? Oh, cool. All right, yeah, I used to play the game too. And then be done. That's still fine. You just communicated with somebody else.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Or, what if it turns into something else that, you guys become buddies. He sits down next to you. You guys just, play for the next couple hours or so. Either way, you haven't lost anything.
Right.
And you've just, spoken to somebody else about a similar interest, which proves that you are not the only one who feels this way.
Right.
So
That actually, something like that happened to me last time we were at SoPro. I stepped out when you guys started recording with the SoPro guys, and I saw someone playing Heroes of the Storm. Kind of took a little interest because it looked better than I thought it did. I was actually pretty impressed with the game.
Nice.
And she turned around and kind of gave me the ropes, told me what the game was all about, kind of gave me some basic strategies, and it was actually pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
when did this happen? He didn't tell us anything about
Yeah,
this.
this happened while you guys were recording.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Mark.
Making new friends.
Yeah, I don't
Keeping
know.
us hidden from them. Understandable.
Yeah, understandable.
I understand.
Just learned a little bit about a new game. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anybody else have anything to say on the matter?
Nah, you guys covered it. I rewound my statement, obviously. You heard it.
I understand 100% if you don't want to go and interact with people you don't know.
Definitely.
That is me to a T.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's on the way home or you got to go somewhere in the area. Stop in, see what it's all about. I don't know.
I think the consensus of what we're saying is go, you won't be sorry. Or don't go, you won't be sorry.
Go peek in there.
If
just
you're,
just
if
go
you're
see what
curious,
it's like.
just go take
Yeah,
a look.
go.
That's it.
It's not going to hurt you. It'll be fun.
Of course, that's
Trust me.
assuming he even has one near him.
No,
He didn't
yeah,
say
yeah.
that
He said he did.
Yeah,
Oh, he
it's,
does?
it's like
Yeah.
it's like go and you won't be sorry, or don't go and you'll still be awesome and be gaming.
Well, he said he had a gaming hobby shop. I imagine it's probably tabletop.
yeah,
So might not have a LAN center or something.
LAN centers are cool.
I'd go and just see what's going on, and if they approach you, cool.
Yeah,
There's really nothing wrong with just going in, just kind of checking things out. I mean,
Plus, you got to support the local community.
right. Alex, buddy, I can tell you if you lived out in KC, we would come game with you totally.
heck yeah.
So,
we would take
yeah.
you to another all nighter and we'd play Final Fantasy 14.
JJ would be
And
your best friend.
he does actually
and Brian
play.
would say
I
all
know.
He plays 14 with us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, right there, we definitely game with you. And I wish we had more people close by that we could, talk to and BS with and stuff. But we've met
Yeah.
quite a few people. So,
Very true.
okay, moving on. Wow, my voice just went Mickey Mouse
Yeah.
right there, didn't
Okay,
it?
guys.
Oh, oh, boy.
Oh, it's fun.
All right. Brian, what do we got for news?
News time. All right, guys. That was the segue into news. The news for this week, or this podcast, I should say. Sony outlines a few new features for their big upcoming PS4 update, which includes the PS Plus online storage is going from 1 gigabyte to 10 gigabytes now. So there's going to be a lot more potential to get a lot more storage in the cloud. You are now going to be able to live stream to YouTube like you do to Twitch from the PS4. And also directly from the PS4 upload clips to Twitter with a 10-second limit, of course. There's also going to be a bunch of other social-oriented features, such as, but not limited to, there's going to be events, favorite groups, like so you can add your friends, like this is my Destiny group, or this is my, being cool group. And then also communities, similar situation where it's like, oh, it's the Witcher community or the Bloodborne community, and so forth. It's a big update coming soon to a PS4 near you. Moving on to the next headliner, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided release date announced. Mark.
Yeah, I saw that.
Squeenix has
Are
announced.
you not excited?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know about all those pre-order and stuff they're talking about.
So, yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit in this article. So, Squeenix has announced the release date for Deus Ex: Mankind Divided, and along with it, an interesting pre-order campaign. So, the game comes out February 23rd, 2016 on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC. And the pre-order structure lets you choose which bonuses you want based on pre-order tiers, which means the more people pre-order it, the higher the tiers get, and the more, I guess, swag.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when I read that, I had a lot of tears.
Yeah, it's. I've got my opinions on pre-ordering. I know Mark does too, but it's definitely a thing.
I just feel like what Square Enix is telling me is wait for the Game of the Year edition.
Pretty much.
And that's not a good message to send.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I don't like pre-ordering. I just don't.
Yep.
Put more power to those who do, but don't promise your money to a company who hasn't given you the product yet. That's just my whole bottom line.
My problem is, like, I do it quite a bit with JRPGs, simply because those end up usually... Actually, it hasn't been a problem lately, but in the past...
You don't want a Xenoblade Chronicles situation.
There's a good chance they become super rare, like, after the initial run. And it's like, well, I missed my chance.
Right.
Now I have to go to eBay and pay, out the wazoo for it. So that's why I do it. I honestly am not. I don't care about pre-order bonuses and all that stuff and everything like that. I just want to make sure that I get a copy. So
of course. And Swifty on to the next one.
All these references that most people won't get.
I know. The next article, Guild Wars 2, has now gone free to play, effective immediately. Now the game has always had no subscription fee, but they are removing the initial price tag on buying the game in the first place, so you can just jump right in if you have no money.
Pay to win?
If it's still structured like it was when I played, it's not really pay to win. It's legitimately an MMO, which is good. JJ, you played it for a little bit, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I got next level.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have any money and you're looking for a game and you have a decent, rig to play it on, I say pick it up. It's free.
It's another one of those where, much like Final Fantasy XIV, where you can play solo and have just as good of a time, because it's very, very story focused as far as your main quest line.
Right.
And from what I remember, the story was pretty good.
Well, and there's really never any real reason to group, because there's those I'm going to call them fates, but there's those
like public quests,
basically, that you can do. And then beep, beep, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. Next business. Here we go. Okay, and the next one. I'm doing segues now. How do you guys like it?
It's fine.
Thank you.
I feel like Brian, if he ever has like his own kids, is gonna. And you might do this now with Heather's kids.
Yeah.
But I feel like Brian's gonna be the dad that like uses lines from 20 years prior, and his kids are just like, ugh, you're so lame, Dad.
Yeah,
Accurate.
that sounds about right.
Yep.
Accurate. All right, moving on. Next article, and this is something I kind of want to spend like 1 or 2 minutes on, but Mortal Kombat X on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 has been straight up canceled. You will not receive it on those consoles. Owners of those old consoles better brace themselves as well. In my opinion, this is Brian's opinion, I think this is basically, those consoles are done. I don't think a lot of people are going to...
Why wouldn't they be at this point? They're selling so well.
Right. And this is now... comes
the current generation.
Well, and this loops,
so well.
this loops back into Warner Brothers, actually, because they were the company behind the disastrous launch of the Batman Arkham Knight launch for the PC. So that had huge quality issues, which they ripped off of Steam after they got just trashed. So it's good on them for saying, hey, we're not going to make these because they're not going to be good enough. But I just feel like if you have a last-gen console, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, now's the time you need to upgrade if you really want to play these new games coming out. So sorry about it. Bye, Felicia.
Especially with all the price drops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Although, wait for the holiday bundles.
Right.
At this point.
I would say so. Yeah, that's a good bet.
Right. And then the last bit of news we've got, Divinity Original Sin 2, number 2, kickstarted in less than 12 hours.
Yep.
However, that's the caveat being that it was a modest sum of only $500,000, which is, if you know Kickstarter, that's not asking a whole lot. But it hit it in less than 12 hours, and now they're already talking like different cool stretch goals. So
yeah,
the first one was wildly popular. So wow, the donors have spoken, I guess. They love them some Divinity Original Sin. They love them some roguelikes.
This one had a goal of $500,000, and it's at 1.2 million right now.
So more than double of what they asked. So some pretty cool stretch goals, and you're really letting that company know that you appreciate quality. And that's
Definitely.
that's the good news is that it shows that if you make a quality game, you're going to get backing.
Yep. We started this show talking about what Kickstarting was and whether we thought it was a good idea or not. But I think at this point, it's pretty clearly a really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked out. There have been a lot of great stories that came out of it.
We've gotten a lot of games that we would have never seen without Kickstarter. Yep.
And it gives certain developers a way out. They don't have to be trapped with the publisher anymore.
It gives the publisher or it gives the developer a reason to not be pigeonholed.
Correct.
By a publisher. So
yep.
Good on that, and can't wait to see Division. I haven't even played the first one yet. I'm sitting on my hard drive, ready to go, ready to fire it up, ready to rock and roll. But haven't played it yet. It's on my backlog.
It's a really good game, but
heard.
It also reminded me how lazy I am because there's a lot of reading. A lot of stuff isn't voice acted.
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
well, that's
goodness.
like old. It's like old games.
Yeah, I'm too spoiled.
Yeah, voice acting is a wonderful thing.
All right, cool.
Yep, that's your news, guys. That's your news. Signing off. Keep it.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So, as we said before, we were at Nova Star Gaming earlier today, and we actually got to play a game called Space Sweeper. We were actually, Mark, what can you tell us about Shinra Tech?
I thought you were going to ask me about Space Sweeper.
Nope.
Shinra Tech is basically the idea that I had years ago on this podcast about how we would no longer buy consoles.
Years ago. We've been going for 2
It's
years.
a little more than 2 years.
It
was probably 1 to 2 years ago that I had this idea.
Probably 1 to 2 years ago.
Most definitely.
Good night.
1 to 2 years ago. You're derailing me, man. But no, it's basically the idea that instead of having small, dedicated, static hardware in your home that runs your video games, it can all be outsourced to basically a server farm, cloud processing kind of setup, and then the limitations of what a video game can do are basically completely lifted.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer, I've got this 3.4 gigahertz quad-core processor. It's I've got an infinite number of processors that can run this game.
I've got Google Fiber.
Yes.
All right. And that's the thing. Internet's going to be the key here because that's the only block to getting 1-1 streaming.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that was the big reason that Shinra Tech came down the Nova Stars because they do have Google Fiber, so they have the fast infrastructure to make multiple rigs playing the same game at once work.
Right, they're in their beta test right now, and they've kind of been. If you follow them on Twitter, you'll see they're doing like little contests with the games and everything, and you can sign up on their website. It's just shinra.com. So go there, check them out, and you'll see they're doing some pretty interesting stuff. And I mean, I kind of wanted to talk about what do you guys think let's really side thing. Let's talk about Space Sweeper, the game that we played, which is one of the games that they have available for the beta test. Who wants to talk a little bit about it and what it kind of was?
I guess I can. So Space Sweeper is, how do I even describe it? You are on a planet.
If you took city skylines and mixed it with asteroids.
No, okay. So here's the premise of Space Sweeper. You crash land on an alien planet. You have a ship, right? And there's a lot of Minecraft elements to it where you can build roads, add land to water by shooting rocks and stuff. While you do this, there are just the amount of particles and creatures on the screen at one time are staggeringly overwhelming.
It should be said this isn't like a 3D Minecraft type perspective, and it's not a side-scrolling perspective like Terraria either.
It's top-down.
It's top-down.
Top-down perspective. I would say 2-bit or 8-bit graphic, stylized. The world is. How would you guys describe the size of the world? Because it's beyond massive. It's overwhelming.
Yes, completely overwhelming.
So the point of the game is there are what they call landmarks. Was it landmarks?
Milestones.
We got to what, 19?
We took the 19. We tried to go for 20, and it was just too much.
And that's out of 200. So it's a concurrent world. So what that means is you start a new server. It populates the world. Boom. Your ship's there. You have a little bit of, what your map has discovered, and you go. And anybody can join your world
if you want them to.
If you want them to, right? That. So as you shoot aliens and shoot rocks and do all this stuff, you gather materials, very much like Minecraft. You upgrade your weapons, you get power lines. So one of the big things we discovered late in the game is that the further away you get from your ship, which is the only way you can recharge your laser beams, the harder, like when we had our, level 3 guns.
Yep.
And so we were running out of, we'd shoot, and then we'd be like 40 miles from our ship, completely out of any energy. So what we started doing was building brick roads and power lines to the next objective. That way people could follow the line and get to the next objective and take down enemy bases. And
I think towards the end, we kind of just got to the point where we were trying to see how far we could make the power lines
go. It was
go.
ridiculous.
And it was so funny.
Miles and miles of power lines to recharge. And somebody can follow in with... and I think JJ said it best. The best way to describe this game is it's a great LAN party game.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Where you're like, let's create a server. And the funny thing is, it's a concurrent server. So when you guys all log out, it's still there. Everything you've done is still there. You just pop back in and you continue.
You can go to a new game with the same character.
Exactly.
If you want as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's really cool because the AIs have different behaviors.
Yep.
Like the organic ones you encounter at first will create these special blocks as they go around that spawn more of them. So you not only have to fight off these monsters, but you have to find where they're spawning from and destroy that, because if you don't, they're just going to spread out and create more spawn points and kind of take over the map.
And like I said,
there's a lot of crowd control involved.
The amount of stuff that can go on your screen at once is, at one point, a lot of people were making audible, "Whoa, my God!"
Right, and we just had everybody, not everybody, but I mean most of the people in that were at Nova Star with us, we were all playing the same game.
In the same
and
world.
Everybody was building stuff, everybody was upgrading their weapons, everybody was running around shooting stuff.
Right.
I mean, it was just so much fun.
Like making the brick roads make your characters run faster, so like having a trail of them following your power lines to get to the next objective makes it so when you die, you can get back to where you're going. Because, I mean, you saw the map. By the time you get to, objective, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Milestone.
Once you get to milestone, 100, you know how far away you'll be from your ship?
I don't even want to think
It's very important that you make these roads and you have teamwork. At one point, I didn't do any shooting. I was just mining rocks, creating brick, and making brick roads for everybody to run on. It's so fun. It's very intuitive.
Yep. Yeah, it's the perfect game to just be like, all right, guys, LAN party this Friday night, and you play for 6 hours straight, and you try to get 20, 25 milestones. Well, actually, we played for 3 hours and got almost 20, so probably get more than that. But either way, you play for a certain amount of time, say you want to get this many milestones. Stop playing. Next time you come back, pick up where you left off and just keep going and just try to beat the whole thing. I mean, it was just run and gun and build and do whatever the heck you want in this big open world. You can stay together if you want to. You can spread out, which is pretty much what everybody did.
We were all over the map.
We would call out when we found something.
Yeah.
But I mean,
enemy base here, enemy base.
It was so much fun.
It's very cool. There are a lot of games that have the basic idea of this game behind it, of going out into a harsh environment and shooting enemies and trying to get further and further. But when you add in that base building aspect and the aspect of being able to basically expunge the enemies from the environment, if you decide, crashing against the front lines of an enemy base is becoming too difficult, you can just kind of draw back to your base, build up, put your power lines further out, set up roads, and try to, make
yourself
it
an
easier
advantage
for you to take it down. So it's not just one type of thing you're doing constantly. It kind of shifts back and forth, so it stays fresh.
And for I think an hour or two, we got C blocked by we call it red base, that had missiles that when you shot the missiles, unloaded a astronomical amount of fire particles on the screen, so you couldn't shoot it, and it was in the middle of the water. So my plan was to gather up a bunch of land, and you could build land around the base, using the blocks, and basically create a perimeter so you can move around. And we got him, and we cheered, and it was really fun. That base kept us at bay for a long time. We finally got past it, and we cheered in ecstasy and drank our Mountain Dews with glory.
My favorite part was when I picked up milestone 11 without realizing it.
You didn't even know.
Everybody was like, so what are we on, still 11? I was like, no, I think I just got it.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but I did.
And that's the thing. Mark, you open the map, and it only shows you, I'd probably say 3 or 4 square miles. But Mark showed it the entire server.
It's massive.
It's beyond that.
It
Massive.
gets to the point where like you're on the fastest type of tile. You like the bricks make you run really fast, and even on the bricks, it's going to take you 10 to 15 minutes just to get to where you're trying to go.
Exactly. It was,
and that's at milestone 20.
Right.
So
I know.
How
There's
bad
200. Yeah. Really, really
there,
fun.
There are like teleports that we didn't quite get to.
Right. Right.
Very
Yeah,
expensive.
there was still plenty of upgrades.
And while you're doing this, you're getting upgrades to increase your battery life. Your guns get strong. I mean, those level 3 guns were just tearing things apart. And then adding the power lines, just really, really such potential. Much wow.
Yep, and they're still doing the beta test, and they're going to be go check out their Twitch channel. It's
it should be Twitch TV/Shinra, right?
Yep, Twitch TV/Shinra. So yeah, just follow them on there, and next time they have one, check them out. So okay, so back to Shinra itself and implications for the future and what we think. Mark, I'm curious as to, since you had kind of thought of this idea a while ago and been like, wouldn't it be cool if blah 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 blah. What do you see for the future as far as this? Do you see it taking off?
That's a very difficult question because it really depends very heavily on what the telecoms do.
That's true.
We need Google to put fiber out everywhere they possibly can so that people have to compete and give us more reliable, faster internet.
Yeah. In a way, it's kind of like, it's almost like a gaming center. Like, so we say, we always say, like, these gaming centers are built for gamers who are introverts, blah, 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 whatever. And as soon as we walk into the door of one, we're like, oh my gosh, you just get people to walk in here, and they're going to love it. They're going to want to do it. Absolutely. I think it's almost like that. You get them the internet, you get them the access and the ability to do this, they're going to want to play it. They're going to want to do it. So I kind of see a similarity, and I honestly, personally, I don't see that as being a huge problem. I think eventually it won't even be just Google Fiber. It, like Time Warner and Comcast and all these other companies and stuff, I guarantee you they're going to start rolling out with their own versions of Google Fiber at some point.
They have to compete.
So there's no way that they can just ignore it. So I don't foresee that being a problem. I think the biggest question just is when. Yeah. So I mean, we just have to kind of wait and see. But what do you, as far as the impact on the gaming scene in general, what do you think?
I feel like there's no way this isn't going to happen. This is definitely where technology is going, just in general. It makes more sense to run things in a data center environment because you can have proper cooling, you can scale when you need to. There's no reason to say, oh, we'd love to have this game look really good, but we can't push these graphics out until the next console iteration. That doesn't make sense when you can just fire up a few more servers. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm making it sound really basic compared to what actually goes into it. But this is going to happen no matter what.
No, and I honestly, like, we played on Shinra servers, obviously, so we were playing from these servers in New York City, and I was amazed at how smooth it ran. We ran into a little lag, but that had nothing to do with the servers, from what I can tell. I think it just had to do with the sheer number of like things on the screen and going crazy. To where we were kind of like,
well, and it's.
I would imagine basically what was happening behind the scenes was we're just getting basically video stream down, and it's just taking our commands, our inputs into the computer up to their server.
Yep.
So all the real work is happening somewhere completely different, and it's just like your basic, almost what goes into Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, but there was no
streaming down. So I don't think it was the internet that was causing that problem.
That's what I mean.
It's just a hitch with how complex that game got. Like you said,
it worked amazingly well. It was, I mean, as far as I could tell, when it was working and when we weren't getting the just kind of like the frame rate drops and stuff, it was 1-to-1.
Oh yeah,
from what I could tell, which is amazing considering these were servers in New York.
Yeah, considering we're only just now getting in-home streaming from people like Microsoft.
Right. Anybody else have anything to say?
I mean, it's going to be weird because we're so used to owning our machines and taking pride in our machines as like PC gamers especially. So that's going to be a big adjustment. It's going to be very different culturally than what we're used to.
You think our rigs will go away?
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Why?
Because the amount of power that can be pushed out of a server farm is going to eclipse what we can do with a small in-home computer.
Right.
And at that point, people would be designing games to run on like hundreds of processors and also just one processor in your house. It doesn't make sense for
That's
them
a
to
good
have
point.
that like forked development process. They'd want to focus on just one type because it's so fundamentally different.
So do you think like, so this technology, I mean, obviously we're looking like, 40, 50, 60 years down the road.
I don't think it's 40, 50, 60 years.
that far.
I'm
no
talking
way.
about when literally it's no one has any rigs or anything like that, and it's all basically everything's in the cloud.
I think that's if the telecoms give us good, reliable
I think
internet.
it's a lot closer than you think.
I think
Well,
it's
but
5 to 10 years. tops.
You think the infrastructure is going to spread that fast? The internet
Like I
infrastructure?
said, if we get what we need from the telecoms,
Right,
Yep.
but
they're the factor. Everything
Right.
else is.
hinging on that.
Set
We have
up.
the technology,
Right.
You know.
And I think it's great. Just in general, think about
Think about what they could do with VR with this.
Yes.
Do you think that?
That's, I can't
Wow.
even fathom that.
Do you think that would be like our luck if like that happens and we rely all of our computing and stuff all relies on like that server farm or something, and the sun ejects like a huge corona like solar flare, and literally we lose all power
Yeah,
on the planet?
that's definitely a problem.
Yeah, that sucks.
But that's not going to stop it from happening.
no, I know. I'm just saying, like, I feel like there are a lot of inherent dangers to that.
There are.
system,
But that's still going to happen.
yeah.
Right.
Like, how do you keep your information secure if it's not in your hard drive? It's in somebody else's.
Yep.
So
Those are all valid concerns, but I don't think that's going to stop anything from
no, I
happening.
Agreed.
And I think there's definite there's real benefits to this happening as well. Instead of dropping, $400 every 5 or 6 years on a new console, or 2 or 3 if you're like us,
Yeah.
and a new computer every 3 years, $1,000.
yeah. I just think it's a lot
just
further
paying
away.
a subscription or something.
I just think it's a lot further away than we think it might.
It might be, but I would say only because of telecoms
Yeah.
being greedy.
Oh yeah.
And think about this, Brian. Forget about having your phone hardware that has its set of programs. Okay, that's great. And your computer that has its set of programs, and your PS3 that has its set of programs,
It's all in one.
and your work computer that has its set of programs and all of its own separate data. Having just one environment that exists at all times that can be pulled up on any screen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
How much more efficient would you be?
Yeah, I know.
I don't have that file. It's on my work computer, and I can't run it anyway since I don't have Photoshop. Yes, you do.
I don't know, man. I feel like I can't put my finger on the movie, but I feel like my paranoia like backbone's starting to ting with this.
Well, it should.
Like if all your stuff is on the cloud, and how easy would it be for the government to be like, click, or somebody, whoever's empowered, just click, and you're done. You have nothing.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but if you think about it, this is exactly how people thought when computers came out in general in the beginning.
Yeah.
People are still worried just about their credit card online.
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, there's always going to be those factors that if what happens if what do we do when blah blah
Yeah.
blah. I mean,
Supposition is fun.
Mark's saying it's not going to happen, or it's not going to stop it, and I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, think about cell phones. People were like, I don't want to have a smartphone. I want to keep my regular dumb phone, my flip phone. But that's just gone because there's no money in it now.
Right.
Because enough people, 90% of people, 95% of people want smartphones.
Yeah.
And that 5% of people that don't is not enough to justify designing new dumb phones.
Right.
So your concerns aren't going to solve the problem, unfortunately.
No, I know. I just I don't know, man. I don't know if I can get over the fact that I won't have my own rig and my own, I won't control it.
I think that's one of the best parts is I don't have to hear about PC people
It's
bragging
not
about their
one of the
computers.
best parts.
That's
100% it is.
That's like the worst part.
It'll fill me with bittersweet feelings because I'll be so sad I don't have my console or my PC or whatever. But I'll
It could
also feel
potentially
like
save
I'm
you hundreds
I'm in
of
the
dollars
future.
every few years.
Exactly, and I'm saving hundreds of dollars.
But the downside for you is literally physical games would be non-existent. They would would be no more collecting. That's the other.
Which would make the ones I have more valuable.
And the downside would
Yeah.
also be, good, the power company was digging and cut through my fiber
Right.
line, and now I can't play games for a week.
The way I look at that, though, is the same way I look at old school RPGs like Final Fantasy
Yeah.
VI and Chrono Trigger and that kind of stuff. There's nothing I can do
Yeah.
about that not being the standard for games anymore. It's you just kind of have to make peace with it, move on. Except there's going to be a new way of doing things, and I mean it's the same situation.
Yeah.
Just because I have this one gripe with that stuff That's nowhere near going to be enough to stop it.
No.
So you know what? Instead of just being bitter about it, why not just be like, well, let's see what you can do.
Embrace it.
And quite frankly, from what I saw today with the Shinra and how much fun we were having there, I'm excited. I mean, simply put, it's super exciting to see what's potentially going to happen. So just need to get Google Fiber now.
Yep.
Google Fiber. Come on, Google. Keep on spreading.
Yeah, get out of here, Time Warner.
Yeah.
Ah,
Or compete better, Time Warner.
that's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, just give me some fast internet so I can play more.
Yeah.
Of course, this is all assuming they don't put 343 Industries in charge of
Oh, don't even
designing
say
the
it.
netcode.
Don't
Oh,
even say it.
nice.
Too soon. All right. Anybody got anything else then?
Not really. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a great time making roads and setting power lines and shooting aliens.
I had a game to recommend you, but then you said the
No,
last
see,
part.
here's the thing. No.
All right, then. No top 5 this week, guys. We just had a busy week, so kind of cut that out and figured we wanted to talk about some of this stuff that we've had the chance to check out.
Yeah.
NovastarGaming.com. Check them out.
Yeah.
Great people and great place to go game. If you're in the Kansas City area, again, fire it up. Go check them out because they're awesome.
Shinra Tech's the real deal, guys.
And then, Shinra.com. Check out Shinra Tech's program and what they're doing, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really cool. We live in an exciting time in the world of gaming, and it'll be great to see what they come up with and what they can do for us.
Yep.
With that, this is the Frozen North signing off for episode 70. Man,
Episode
70.
70.
It's a good number, I guess.
My name is JJ.
My name is Mark.
And my name is Brian.
And as always, keep on gaming.
Our theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.